Welcome to this week's episode of Latitude at Frontline. I'm your host, Nirupama Subramanian. Bangladesh marked 1 year of the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's ouster on August 5th. In this 1 year, India's eastern neighbor has undergone a lot of changes. The relationship that Delhi once took for granted when Sheikh Hasina was in office has possibly never been worse at this point. Bangladesh's foreign policy has undergone a 180-degree turn. After inviting China to set up a special economic zone on its territory and trade with India's northeast and build an airport in an area close to India's strategic Siliguri Corridor, Mohammad Yunus, the chief advisor, is now in the process of mending fences with Pakistan, a country from which Bangladesh liberated itself in 1971. Chief Advisor Yunus has also said an election will be held in February 2026, after which power will be transferred to an elected government. With me to discuss more about all this is the veteran Bangladeshi diplomat Humayun Kabir, formerly of the Bangladesh Foreign Service. He served as Consul General in Kolkata twice in the 1990s, and he was also Bangladesh's ambassador to the United States from 2007 to 2010. Welcome to Latitude, Ambassador Humayun Kabir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I feel honored to be with you.
I'm going to dive right in with a question that's uppermost in a lot of people's minds. What does Bangladesh hope to gain from turning its back on India in such a fierce way, in the way that it has done now? India is Bangladesh's neighbor on three sides. There are ties of a shared history, culture, language, religion, and leave aside the storied history. It is pragmatic in to be friendly with the biggest economy in the region, especially as Bangladesh has certain economic dependencies on India. In 2022, Bangladeshis working in India remitted $6.6 billion to their home country, making them the biggest source of remittances to Bangladesh ahead of Saudi Arabia. Why harm all this?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, let me start from the introduction that you have given. You mentioned that Bangladesh has granted China an economic zone. Bangladesh has granted 2 economic zones to India already, offered China, offered Japan. So Bangladesh has been inviting all its economic partners to participate in a special economic zone. And this is nothing new, and it doesn't, merit any particular attention, because China is Bangladesh's #1 import source. So we have a kind of deep economic relationship. For China is #1 infrastructure partner for us, China is we consider China as a productive and useful economic partner with Bangladesh. Now, you have mentioned also in your question that Bangladesh has turned its back. One could, from Bangladeshi side, we have a different view. So you can see that we have not shown back. Because if I give you an example, couple of instances. After the changeover in Bangladesh in last year on 5th of August, I think India has suspended its visa program. India has recently suspended transshipment facilities for Bangladesh. They have now suspended some of the overland business transaction, particularly on garments and other stuff. So I think what we are seeing from here is that perhaps India is not really appreciating the changes that have taken place in Bangladesh. And we would like to believe that if India had understood what has happened, the changing political environment, then perhaps the relationship could have gone to a normal level. For example, from our side, Bangladesh has sent signals that we want to normalize relationship. And one of the cases is Professor Yunus and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met in Bangkok during the BIMSTEC summit. And I mean, we from our side, we try to be friendly or be normal, maintain normal relationship with India. But the sense here is that India has not really appreciated the changes, and India looks like, or India is trying to send a message to Bangladesh that is not happy. But we, from our side, we believe, I echo what you have just mentioned, that India is one of our largest trading partners. India is our second largest import source. We appreciate that. And we also used to export around $2 billion worth of products to India. And now that restrictions are there, some of our exports are affected. But at other level, I should say that economic relationship is still continuing because both sides realized that continuation of the economic relationship is vital for both sides. For example, electricity is coming to Bangladesh. Bangladesh has paid whatever dues are there on the Indian side. Nepali electricity is coming to Bangladesh via Indian grid. So, I mean, some kind of economic relationship is going on. But from the Indian side, some of the policy decisions have sent a message that India doesn't really feel comfortable and trying to be some obstruction. And these trade restrictions followed after the meeting between Chief Advisor Professor Yunus and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Bangkok. Our understanding was that since two heads of the government have met, things would come back to normal. But thereafter, I mean, the decision from the Indian government, we really didn't understand why the positive momentum was not continued. So from Bangladesh side, I can assure you that we want to normalize relationship, normal transaction. The visa process is suspended since last year, August. The transport services are also suspended. So these are some of the things that are affecting us and to some extent also affecting India. So we believe that since we are neighbors, we have a kind of interdependence. We should continue our economic relationship, and if possible, take the political relationship also at the normal.
You spoke about how there was bafflement on the Bangladeshi side that India had suspended, that India had not um, responded in a positive way after the meeting in Bangkok. But that was also around the time that Professor Yunus's speech at the Bao Forum came out, and where he then made that speech. Where he made those remarks about inviting China to set up in Bangladesh and trade with India's northeast, and this is a sensitive subject for India. So, as you said, it's not that this is normal, and we grant. Special economic zones we have granted to India, we granted to Japan. This is also normal. This is strategic territory for India. It's India's northeast, which has certain security issues. Also, the invitation to develop an airport close to the Siliguri Corridor. I think India's reactions on the restrictions on Bangladeshi exports came after this. And as you said that there was a lot of bonhomie. We saw that during the meeting in Bangkok. So my question is, was Professor Yunus too naive in imagining that India would not react to these, to what it saw as provocations, or was it a deliberate provocation?
Oh, well, no, thank you. I think that it was an overreaction. It was overreaction for two reasons. Number one is what Professor Yunus has said, whatever I have heard. I think he wanted to give a message of cooperation, collaboration, so that all the economies of all the countries could be supported. So that was the message he wanted to give. And I don't believe that he has not been mindful of the strategic sensitivity that India may have. But again, let me take you a little earlier on this subject. Up until 2013, Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, and China, we had worked on BCIM. And India participated at a very high level. The Indian Foreign Secretary was involved in the dialogue and discussion. So I think this idea of larger regional collaboration involving India, China, Bangladesh, Myanmar, I mean, it's nothing new. It was there, but in recent past, I think this idea has fallen wayside, I should say. I mean, for the last one decade, we don't hear about BCIM, but we believe, and I think India also believed at up to a certain point, that this kind of collaboration would be beneficial to all of us. And there was a car rally sometime in 2011 or 12 from Calcutta to Dhaka to Guwahati to Kunming. So, I mean, this is a potential area. Definitely, there is a strategic sensitivity, and we are cognizant of that. But also, there is an opportunity that we understand that the Indian Northeast is landlocked. So Bangladesh can give or extend the support to Northeast to grow economically. And I can tell you, I come from a region from eastern part of Bangladesh. We helped India to take the heavy machinery and then build up power stations in Agartala and so on and so forth. So from our side, Bangladesh has been giving support to India, and likewise, like Indian Northeast, the Chinese Southwest, I should say, that is also a kind of landlocked. And taking into account those geographical scenario into account, at one point we thought that BCIM could perhaps address those interests. And my sense is that Bangladesh, as we are, I mean, and particularly Prof. Yunus, what he's saying, Bangladesh wants to work collaboratively with all its partners for boosting all our economics, because our major challenge uh, is, uh, uh, is fighting poverty, creating employment, uh, and have a kind of equitable economic growth. So on our own, we can't do that. So we need our a kind of larger support. And if that happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, I mean, we have to live with whatever uh, uh, is available.
You talked about the spirit of Kunming, that car rally and so on. So that brings me to the other question that I had, is that recently in Kunming we saw a meeting between Pakistan, China, and Bangladesh, a trilateral, and the signaling from that seemed to be that we can leave India out of the reckoning. I mean, although you spoke about BCIN and all that, but in this one was seemed explicitly um, uh, aimed at sidelining India. So it was just Pakistan, Bangladesh, and China. And so, this too has not sent out a good signal. So, what was that meeting about? Is that going to be another, a multilateral in the region, a China-led multilateral?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, what I can tell you is what I heard from the foreign advisor, foreign secretary. They said it was a meeting, nothing else. There was no kind of grouping or anything structured developing here. And I think some commonalities have to be there. for this kind of grouping to gel up. And I don't believe that we have that kind of gel up or elements for gel up. Pakistan has an independent bilateral relationship chat. We have ours bilaterally. In addition to that, what kind of value addition this kind of trilateral will bring in, I'm not sure as of now. And I think that reflects the viewpoint of the government side as well. So I would not invest too much of optimism on this point or on this subject.
Right. You recently wrote an article in Prathamolu. It was published on the 5th of August on the day of the anniversary. That the Yunus administration was hesitant about taking bold foreign policy decisions. Uh, Firstly, don't you think it's already taken big foreign policy steps? It has almost like a fait accompli for the incoming elected government. One is mending fences with Pakistan, for example. And as we discussed, this whole relationship with China. I would say, these are radical moves, and they're hardly hesitant. What's left to do? I mean, what after this?
Well, my sense is that China relationship is a continuation. If I may give you an example, when Sheikh Hasina was in power, last time after the 2018, after the 2024 election, there was a competition between Indian and Chinese ambassadors to go and greet her. I mean, relationship with China has been quite steady for quite some time, Ishipsu, and that's continuing. I don't see any new element having been added by this government. But yes, Professor Yunus has visited China, obviously head of government level visit, add some new elements, but nothing significant has changed qualitatively. Number one. Number two, with regard to Pakistan that we have mentioned, and relationship with Pakistan was suspended for last 15, 16 years. So now it is coming back to normal bilateral relationship. And beyond that, we have not seen anything that would really make somebody to make an assessment which is unusual. So I think that yes, there are complementarities in our economies. We can always work. We had it's a regional country, member of SAARC. So obviously we will have to have a normal diplomatic relationship. And Bangladesh is very much conscious about our national interest. So we will cooperate with Pakistan where our national interest permits. And we will pursue a bilateral relationship based on our interest.
Right. So, in this context, there's a visit by the Pakistani Foreign Minister, Mr. Ishaq Dar, on the 23rd of August. So, what's on the table for this visit? Why is he coming?
I heard that this visit was to take place few months back, but it was then deferred for, uh, mutual convenience, I should say. One thing is that economic relationship. For example, I remember even during the previous government's time, we used to import certain things such as chemicals, then textiles, mysteries, and so on and so forth. So
A previous government, meaning the Sheikh Hasina government?
yes. So I think now that we have some restrictions with India, or if we get competitive at a competitive price, some textile products and so on and so forth. So that could really one could look at, and Bangladesh should be happy to look at that. So my feeling is that it would be just bringing back the diplomatic relationship to a normal level. Number two, exploring some of the uh, economic opportunities. And obviously, when the foreign minister visit take place, exchange of views on regional relationship, bilateral relationship will come. So, that's my sense because this government, the current interim government is quite busy now, as you have already mentioned. They have announced a time frame for elections. A July declaration was announced on that day. A kind of, I would say, another July kind of agreement, if I may say so, is coming soon. So the government's hands, I mean, they have a full plate ahead of them. And my sense is that next few months, the government will be quite preoccupied domestically. And now that we have signed, not signed yet, but we have agreed on a deal, tariff deal with the United States that will entail lot of, I mean, reforms, internal reforms. So I think government has a lot of agenda items to cover during the time that are left with them. And I think next government, when the election takes place, the next government will also have a lot of agenda items to deal.
Right. Uh, you know what you said to bring one of the things is to bring the Pakistan relationship to the level that it was before 15 years ago. Um, one of the demands that has been constant in the Bangladesh Pakistan discourse is that the Bangladeshi side has always asked uh, for a formal or official apology from Pakistan for the atrocities inflicted on the Bangladeshi people, the killings, the rapes, the torture, all that during those months in 1971 after Operation Searchlight. During Operation Searchlight. Uh, so, is that demand still on the table, or I mean, is Bangladesh willing to look past that and move ahead and normalize with Pakistan
Well, thanks.
without it?
Good question. And I can tell you that last time when the Pakistan Foreign Secretary visited Bangladesh a few months back, Bangladesh raised that issue forcefully and demanded an apology from Pakistan or taking the responsibility for whatever crimes had been committed during 1971 Liberation War. I'm sensing or whatever I'm gathering is that when the foreign minister comes, this issue would be raised because this is an issue that's very close to our heart because we lost people. We faced the challenges or difficulties at that time. So regardless of who said what, we believe it's important and we continue to keep that on the plate and uh, ask for Pakistan to take responsibility.
Right. You know, you also spoke about how from Sheikh Hasina's time there is this the Bangladesh-China relationship has been quite robust since her time as well, and so nothing more has been done right now. Um, but you know, there is also the the view that there is more of an effort to woo China at this point than the Sheikh Hasina government ever did. Uh, do you think that impression is right?
I would add some nuance to that. Many people think that we are closer to US.
Yeah.
That's what their impressions are there. But I would say that Bangladesh decides its policy based on its national interest. For example, we are in a democratic transition and we want to build up a sustainable democratic support from the Western countries, European Union, Japan, US, UK. Those are important. So that brings us closer to that kind of Western group, if I may say so, or Western world. And the United Nations Human Rights Council has done an excellent fact-finding report on the atrocities committed during last July, August, and also during the last regime. So, I mean, people, in terms of the real involvement or activities, set of activities. People say the Bangladesh government, interim government is closer to the Western camp than to China. But well, now responding to your question, uh, China, as I said, China is number one infrastructure support for us. Major infrastructure projects China is involved, has remained involved for last, say, 30, 40 years. Our demand, not our needs are changing. So based on those needs, we interact with the West, we interact with China, we interact with Japan. We are ready to interact with India as well. I mean, Professor Yunus has very clearly said, we are ready to have normal relationship with India based on dignity and equality. So I think there are now, if India can accept that kind of framework, I think relationship can come back to normal situation. And I again echo what you have said. We are neighbors. We have many commonalities that can bind or build up our relationship, and also interdependence. So we must recognize that. Yes, I agree that what India had got during the, say, last 15 years, the people of Bangladesh do not believe that that kind of relationship is acceptable any longer. And that's why I think they have expressed their view loudly in August, July, August last year. And if India can recognize that, understand that, and now adjust its relationship or can appreciate the aspirations of the people of Bangladesh, I believe the relationship could come back to its normal state.
So, when we talk about how uh, India must accept what has happened in Bangladesh and the changes that have taken place, one of the things that Indians find hard to accept is the attacks on the ethnic minorities. And of course, you know, uh, maybe the numbers have been exaggerated by the media on the Indian side, that about how many people have been attacked and so forth. But I was reading a Human Rights Watch report which came out just a couple of days ago, and they have also mentioned the targeting of Hindu families just back in July. I think they mentioned 14 Hindu families, and then they also talk about how tribal indigenous people, the Chakmas, have also been attacked. So there are these, there are these issues that come in the way. And the one thing that the Yunus government or the Yunus dispensation has not been able to do is bring this under control. This was to be the main task of the Yunus administration, but they really haven't been able to do this, right? Um, so would you agree that there's something missing here that needs to be repaired before that, uh, before the India Bangladesh relationship can actually start finding its level once again?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I mean, again, another interesting question. Let me take it in three, four segments. The first segment is, yes, there has been some violence. I admit that. But now we have to understand the context. There was a political change in Bangladesh, and major political change. A government which was in power for 15 years had three kind of, you can see, again, questionable, highly questionable elections, uh, perpetrated different kinds of atrocities, used state power to muzzle the opposition, media, and so on and so forth. So against that kind of background, a change came, and that involved, I mean, few elements. For example, the massive violence actually took place that led to the fall of the previous government. So violence was normalized for almost 2 months in Bangladesh. So that we have to understand. And when something becomes normalized, then it can spread to other segments of the population as well. That is one. Number two is that because of over politicization, all institutions have been seriously corrupted. In Bangladesh, all these institutions, police, civil service, political structure, everything was really degraded. Now, when you say that violence has taken place, yes, the police was at certain point, police was really battered badly. Out of 639 Thana, as we call it, police stations, almost 400 police stations were attacked, damaged, and so on, so forth. So, police was quite aggressive in defense of the last government, and the people also became aggressive, and that kind of under that kind of situation. Now, police is half capable. Civil service is now rebuilding itself. So there was a huge deficiency in terms of managing things from an institutional point. But I can also add you here. But the people themselves built up the resistance. You may have seen or may not have seen. Whenever this violence, we found out that this violence was taking place. The Muslim students, army, uh, whatever remnants of police was there, even the madrasa students, they protected the minority and ethnic groups' properties, lives and properties, and very united them. I can tell you, I travel throughout the country in November, December, and also recently I came from the field trip. There is a now, I would say, heightened awareness among the Bangladeshis that we have achieved something big, but we have to sustain that achievement. And here, protecting the minorities, protecting the ethnic communities is also our responsibility. So that sense, I believe that is a helpful sense. People are now thinking about this. We don't brush aside. We don't say that no, it doesn't exist. It has happened, but now people are taking initiative to overcome that problem. So I think that the institutions are revealing themselves now. People have become more conscious. So whatever initial incidences were there, since then they have, I would say, they have stopped, and nothing has been reported in the last few months. Now, coming back to the reporting of these incidents, we have a feeling that from an Indian side, or from India, there has been a consistent and sustained kind of misinformation spread on this particular issue against Bangladesh, as if Bangladesh became a radical country and violence is the only thing that is happening everywhere. So that really hurt us. From a Bangladesh perspective, whenever we look at India, we see Indian civil society, media, some segments of political parties, major political parties, and some segments of government when they talk about these things and take it beyond the proportion and portrays Bangladesh in a negative light. That gives us a bad feeling that we are not getting the objective treatment from our friends across the board. So we have to, I think, given the context that we had last year, and still the kind of, you can say, vibrations going on, and we must also take note of the fact that there are countervailing forces as well, meaning that the people are conscious, they're trying to take initiative and trying to protect minorities, ethnic groups, and so on. So as of now, I can only tell you that things are settling down, but I have a little bit of concern that elections are coming. So in a Bangladeshi context, South Asian context, I should rather say, elections can be very, very kind of overactive exercise. So then we have to also be very careful so that peace can be maintained. And from our side, from Bangladesh Enterprise Institute side, we are planning to undertake dialogue for peace, meaning that going to different places and sensitizing people that during election time, nobody should resort to violence, and have a dialogue so that the elections can take place in an environment of peace and participation.
Yeah, you mentioned how India is hyping up the whole situation in Bangladesh as if radicals have taken over. But there's also no denying, isn't there, that there is an element, there are elements of radical groups that are out on the streets. I mean, there are mobs that have instigating this violence against ordinary people, whether they're Hindus or whether they're Awami League members. Um, so there is a radical element that has been unleashed by uh, this change in Bangladesh, and I think that's also quite apparent.
Okay, I'll respond to that also. It's not radical elements. Let me correct myself. There is no radical element in this. This is a social element. This violence, this kind of violence is taking place when people believe that they can take law into their hand, and that can have taken that generally takes place against the social criminals, the social kind of situation. Hardly there is any case of radicalization or radical elements having been involved in such. So, what you are saying, yes, mob violence is a problem, as I said, because the police could not even recover from the trauma that they have during the last July, August. Civil service is still reorganizing itself. So, from an administrative structure or administrative point of view, there are still some gaps, and these people are using that gaps. So, government is trying, but I would say that we have to give the government a little bit of time, because this is a massive. I can only tell you that this change of government is not only a change of government because of the last 15 years, years of kind of a difficult political environment, exercise, use of political power, state power, use of institutions for particular political dispensation. The value structure has changed in society. Institutional structure is also transforming. So we are really struggling, and we are trying to rebuild everything. And this is why the so many, you can see, reform commissions have been constituted. Government is trying to reorganize the constitutional arrangement, political arrangement, police reform, civil service reform, because the last July August movement, I can tell you, I was a freedom fighter in 1971. After 1971, this is the most intense movements I have seen. And I can tell you two, three things here. I'm seeing a generational shift taking place in Bangladesh. Young generation are more informed. They want more transparency and accountability. There is more questions, and they demand more participation. So I am seeing a clear sign of a generational shift taking place in Bangladesh. I'm also seeing a political shift taking place, because the kind of politics that we have seen since 1990, we call it a democratic journey. 91 to 2024, whatever politics has happened in this country, I don't believe the same politics can come back in the future. The political parties now realize they have to change, because the round reality has also changed. So my sense is that we are we are now passing a transition to a new kind of political arrangement. And our economy we are trying to restructure, because next year we are going to graduate to the low end developing country.
But we also seen that the culture of revenge violence continues. I mean, Awami League has been singled out. It's they've been people have been going after Awami League activists, followers, and I was again in that Human Rights Watch report I read that there are probably arbitrary detentions of there've been of more than 8,000 Awami League workers, and perhaps under the Special Powers Act, it says in the report. And so there's the cycle of revenge has not changed. And the fact that Awami League has been banned and cannot participate in the election, does it not actually risk tainting this election, which is supposed to be a transformative election, which is supposed to change Bangladesh into a better place.
Thank you. Couple of just clarification. Let me put it. Nobody has said anything about the participation of Awami League in the elections yet.
But its registration has been suspended.
Awami League's activities have been suspended. Activities have been suspended pending the court cases. So, as you know, there are court cases now against Sheikh Hasina and many of the Awami League leaders for the crimes committed by them. So, the court will decide. Once whatever court decides, then perhaps that could decide the fate of Awami League politics in future. Whether they can participate in election or not, I mean, that I cannot answer this question, but my sense is that the what I can read from the tea leaves, if I may say so, until some kind of repentance comes from Awami League about the crimes that they were involved in, or people say that they have committed, or the judicial process that is ongoing, until that is complete, I mean, I don't see or foresee an opportunity for Awami League to really come out and doing politics like before. Because, in a Bangladeshi context, I mean, this is what we are. As I said, as I was a 71 man, so I can tell you, any political party involved in mass killing, it becomes very difficult for them to do politics. Muslim League lost its credibility once they were involved in this. Zamak in Bangladesh, you can see they are also carrying a huge baggage on their ruling 1970.
But they are back.
Oh, they are back, but the way
They are it seems that they have regained a lot of that ground.
they are back, but let's see how people treat them. But this baggage is still there. So for Awami League also, Awami League now has a big baggage. And Awami League has to, has to respond to this. How they respond, I don't know. But I think a lot of explaining has to be done by Awami League. And if they can do it properly, I think they can come back. I mean, who knows? But as of now, I think the mood is such that unless they acknowledge, take some responsibility, it would be difficult for them to come and get an social acceptability. So it means that whatever they had claimed or they thought they had, kind of support they had, I think after this last year's happenings, I mean, there has been an erosion in their support structure. But again, there is no last word in politics.
So, you talked about the crimes, alleged crimes of Sheikh Hasina and her and the Awami League in the last few months of her when she was in office, just before her ouster. One of the things that also is sitting in the middle of India-Bangladesh relationships is the fact that she is in India and Bangladesh is demanding that India should extradite her back to Bangladesh for her to face the trials against her in so many cases, in the multiple cases against her. Do you foresee a situation where Bangladesh can actually move past this demand? Because it is unlikely, isn't it, that India is ever going to extradite Sheikh Hasina for several reasons. I mean, both historical reasons and for contemporary reasons. Is there a possibility that like how China has forgotten or has set aside the fact that Dalai Lama is in India and it's a very small part of the India-China bilateral, problems. It's just one small part and it doesn't really impact anything else. In the same way, do you think in Bangladesh could move past this demand or should move past this demand? Because it's never going to happen, is it?
Well, I can't give you an answer on the future, but what I can tell you, what I'm seeing today, Bangladesh government has made a formal request based on the court's summon for her to appear at the court. But as far as I understand, the Indian government has not yet responded to that. So for Bangladesh, I'm talking about the Bangladesh interim government. There is an expectation that they should respond. And my sense is that there is quite a bit of support structure to back that up. I mean, at the popular level, because people have been hurt. 1,400, more than 1,400 people have been killed. Thousands have been injured. Now, and even yesterday, I can tell you one of the most sentimental segment of the programs was hearing to the voices of the victim families. I mean, so their emotion is still very raw, and people still feel that this is like yesterday. So I think there's a strong emotion in Bangladesh on this point, and they want justice to be delivered. And Bangladesh, from a diplomatic point of view, Bangladesh government has made a request to India formally. Bangladesh government expects a response, and that has not yet come. The future, I'm sorry to say that I cannot predict what will happen in the future. That depends on the bilateral relationship, as you have said, China, India relationship. So it evolved, and who knows? I mean, I leave it. But this is a very strongly sentimental issue, kind of a little bit of political issue, but also a judicial issue and a diplomatic issue.
Ambassador Humayun Kabir, thank you for taking out the time for doing this interview. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for all your insights.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I also thank those who are behind the camera.
Thank you, viewers, too, for watching Latitude. We'll be back again next week with another episode.